Hello, get my chair here. Welcome to a new day, a new project. This time we're going to make a baby outfit. Got a baby shower coming up and I think this is just going to be adorable. And I'm using this pattern because after this I'm going to be making the mom an apron that kind of coordinates, cutesy thing. So this baby is due end of March, which is still cold, and this is a summer outfit. So I am guessing if I make the small size, which is a 6-month type, that it should be fine. We'll see. Now what I'm going to be using is this like very light aqua kind of color for the base, but I got this little seed packet looking print, and I'm going to use an individual one for each pocket and kind of use it as a trim, as a theme. What I'm thinking, because this is the little crown of the hat, at first I was thinking I would make that in this, but I think that will just be way too busy for a little person. But on the back there's a bow. So I'm going to make the bow and the pockets out of this fabric. So what I'm thinking is the bow height is about the height of a row of the seed packets. So I'm just going to center that on and cut that. Same with the knot. The pocket piece that came with it is a touch wider than one of these seed packets. So I'm just going to kind of center the design on the pocket piece. So it looks like the first thing we're going to do is actually the pockets. So I'm glad I cut that out. The pockets, like everything on this dress, are completely lined. So this will be my outside, and I cut a piece of the main fabric for my lining. So I'm going to put it up here, and when I stitch it, I'm going to be very careful to kind of follow the pattern on my novelty print here so that I keep it centered. So what you do is you go starting about an inch below the bottom, go up, over, down, around, then you stop so that you can flip the whole thing right side out, iron it, and then we get to add some. So here's my tiny little pocket that I haven't turned out yet. But you can see I started here, went up around, and then I just trimmed it pretty close because I got a lot of curve here. These will be just about the only women's pockets that will never actually be used, so I am not too stressed out about it, but I just think they're going to be really adorable. So what you do is you just turn it right side out, and then I'm going to press it, and I'm going to find a little piece of lace to put across the top of each pocket. I have several yards of this adorable little white scalloped lace, and I'm going to use this on several parts of the dress. It asks actually for the lace to be down like this. I kind of want it up because that way it doesn't cover up the wording. She's not actually going to be sticking her tiny little fingers in here, so I don't think it's going to hurt anything if I put it face up. just very slowly getting this thing worked out so it's right side out. And on the wrong side is where I have my opening, so I can stick very carefully my hand in here and just kind of run it along the edge and poke pieces out. Had to take a break yesterday because yesterday was getting taxes done, which just about killed me mentally, but got it done. So now I am back and I can do this with a clear conscience. So I wanted to show you, I've got this top stitched. This was my opening, and I just did some little whip stitches to close it up. Now the top stitching holds it so it's not going to fold, but I actually have a lot of lace in my stash, and what better way to use it up than on a little girl dress. So I am going to be running this, it's about 1/2 inch ruffled lace all around the edges. It's not the same as this one. I actually tried this one, but since this is a flat lace and there are so many curves in this dress, it wouldn't work very well for running on the edge. So that's what I'm going to do. And the buttons, where are you here? I found these vintage buttons in my stash too. They're little pearly flower shaped. So there's one for each strap, and I think I'm going to put one in the very top of the hat. So that way I'll use all 3, and I think they're adorable. So lace, buttons, buttonhole, and the dress part of this package. I got the dress done, and it is so cute. So the next step is to work on the panties. These 2 pieces. Honestly, these look huge for a baby. I guess it's because they have to be really full and elasticized. So this should go together super quick. Down here on page 3 of the directions. So the front to the back and the inseam, and then sew the crotch. Easy peasy. Let's go. So I'm just going to clip my notches here so that I can remember which is the back. The back piece always has more notches than the front. So that way I know this one with the 3 notches, that's the back. That's just easy for me to figure out. So all of our seams are down. Now I wanted to show you, because I'm going to be making elastic casings around the top and both legs. Oh, this little clip, that's just my reminder of what's the back. So I'll be taking that off soon. At the point where my casings are going to be, both up here at the waistband and down here around the legs, just to make my life easier later, I went ahead and stitched it down a couple inches. And that way, when you have your little casing, you can feed the elastic through easy, and you're not fighting against that kind of thing. It'll just make you crazy. So it says in the pattern to fold it under 7/8, and then you don't need that. And then once you have that pressed, then do another 1/4 inch. To me, it's easier to do the 1/4 inch first and then a 1/2 inch. So that's what I'm going to do. And I have replaced my little red clip with one of my little personalized ribbons, my little tags. It's kind of a fun thing, you know. I just ordered them off of Etsy. There's a lot of sellers that make them. But there's a lot of times that you want something just to designate what is front and what is back. And so I find them very handy because before I would just, you can improvise, and I did for a lot of years, either just sewing a little patch or a little scrap of fabric, or I've even drawn a heart with a Sharpie on the inside of a waistband and stuff, just so that you can have something. But I got my little tags, and they're fun, and I like them. To show you my handy dandy elastic trick. So I just do this because I got tired of letting the end of my elastic sneak through the opposite end. So basically I have an old empty spool, and I safety pin the end of my elastic to it so it's not going anywhere. Then bodkin. See if focus that. Focus. Bodkin. If you don't have one and you sew and you use elastic, get one. The safety pin thing does work, but this is a lot easier to feed. So just those two little things will make your life so much easier. And when, oops, I have a thread here. And when stitching down the little seam allowances to push through, oh, that makes a big difference too. So anyway, you don't need to watch me pull elastic through a casing, but honestly, bodkin, it's worth it. You'll love it. Goes through. So I'll be back with my elastic through. Once I get it through, what I'm going to do is just machine close the little openings there, and then stitch on my label at the right place, and then panties will be done.
Right,
The panties are done. And now we're on hat. So it says what it wants you to do is to pin and sew the sections together, basically making 4 half hats, and then you sew 2 of the halves together, and then you end up with an outside and a lining. And I don't feel like pinning them and everything because this is so simple. I'm just going to go ahead, match it up on my machine, and stitch it up and sew that way. All right, so I have 2 half hats here, and I have them pinned together. And I want to show you that when you go to pin it, this little triangle of stitches here, on focus, will match up with the same one on the opposite side. So if you stick a straight pin straight at that intersection and match it up to the one on the back side, focus here, then you'll have it lined up perfectly. Focus and see how everything lines up. So that's great. Okay, so I'm working on the hat brim now. It's the piece. What I'm doing is I'm going to fuse the interfacing to one of these pieces. They both are the same, so I don't have to pay that close attention. So I've got it fused on. Just want to make sure that when you pin it so that the interfacing is on the outside. Okay, so this is my back piece, and this is the piece with the fused, but the interfacing is actually exposed on the outside. That way it'll all turn out okay. I'm actually going to trim it down to like a scant 1/4 inch, I would say, and then do some minor clips in there just to take some of the bulk out of the brim. I'm not going to serge it because I don't need to. It's not in any danger of fraying, and I don't want to add the extra bulk of that inside of there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press this down so it'll be nice, and then once it's pressed, I come back in here and baste these edges together so that they act as one piece when we attach it to the crown of the hat. Okay, so on one of your hat pieces, what you do is you find the center. Where am I? Here. You find the center of one of the panels and mark it with a line. That's my line, and I put an F for front. The opposite side, you mark the center of one of these panels, and I put a B for back. So what I'm going to do is match up the center front of my brim to the center front of my hat. You know, it's actually kind of tricky to pin it on that way, so before I do that, I'm going to come in here and clip up to my basting stitch that I put in just the plain brim, because I think that'll help it open up and be able to pin on a little bit easier and make a little bit smoother seam up against the hat. Right now, I need to take of my lining cap here. I need to open up one of these seams enough that I'll be able to reach through and flip everything right side out through it. So I'm going to open it up, a few inches at least, and it'll be pretty easy to go ahead and come back and reclose it. So now I have my lining with its little opening here. I have my hat, here's the brim, here's where I have it all basted together, and the right side is inside, and I have the brim tucked in there. Setting my liner in there so the right side is buried, and I'm going to start matching up some side seams here. And we're going to match these all up and sew all the way around the brim. Okay, I'm going to attempt to flip this right side out. Now, sewing this around was actually really fiddly because that brim kept wanting to fold up on me. And I was trying to be really, really careful that I wasn't sewing a fold into the brim, but it took a while. So actually, it's looking pretty good. Okay, so this is the very back of the hat, and what you do is in the very back, there's a line that shows on the pattern that you stitch right across the back section. And this is going to make a casing down here. And you take, this is before you close up the little opening. It's on my inside, my opening's on the inside. You haven't closed it yet because you need something to feed the elastic through. So you cut a 3-inch piece of elastic, use your bodkin, and the elastic is going to have half inch, put a half inch on this side, so inside of the hat it'll be over here half an inch and over here half an inch, and in the middle is where it takes it up. Okay, so I got my elastic fed through, and what I did is I just pinned from the outside where the ends are, so I'm going to come back and do a stitch in the ditch right here and right here to secure that elastic, and then I will whip stitch this lining opening closed, and then start working on the bow that goes on the hat. Now working on the bow, this is in our cute little print, there is a bow piece and a knot piece, and both of them we're going to fold in half and stitch down and then flip right side out. Oh, she gets bouncy. Bouncy girl. So that's the bow, and okay, so here's our bow, and folded it in half, sewed the edges. Now, this comes open. These edges press open. Flip the whole thing inside out. And this is going to be our bow. So at this point, it's just kind of a fiddly thing where you're going to make a little bow and use this little knot piece to come around and stitch it all together. Once you have it all stitched up, then this gets put on the back of the hat. So I think the hat is done. I put the little button on top, and actually sewing that through, it helps anchor the lining to it so the lining doesn't come pooching out. Got the little bow on. I first made the bow and then I sewed it in the center, top and bottom, and then I also anchored it, the little bow parts on each side, to the seams. I think it's pretty darn cute. Actually, before I go, I wanted to show you this. This room used to be my daughter's bedroom a long time ago, and I let her paint the wall, and she painted what was supposed to be a big mural of horses on a hill and everything like that. Well, she got this one horse painted, and the rest she used a stencil for. But when I repainted this room, I wanted to save that because this just encompasses her art style. So this one's Jessie's. Hope you're able to see on the video the dress. It's very cold and damp outside, and trying to take a picture so that you can see it without me in the picture, without the dress getting dirty, because everything is muddy right now, was difficult. But I wanted to show you closer. It came out really cute. I like the little pockets and the little lace all the way around it. I think is very little girlish. The panties are basic. They're actually pretty darn big, but you know, diaper takes up room, so there's that. And the hat is just adorable. You can see the back and the front. So you can tell this is not newborn size. This actually could probably carry a little girl all the way through age 1. But that's okay because you don't get a shower at age 1. You get a shower at newborn. But this is the pattern. It is the Simplicity 9152, and I give it a thumbs up. The only part that was a little bit tricky was some of the hat stuff where it was very fiddly when you were sewing around the brim to make sure that the brim didn't get wrinkled, but that wasn't a real problem. It was just where you had to go extra slow and be very careful. Everything seemed to match up really well. The instructions were clear. Gave you a lot of room to personalize it however you wanted to. It does have other options with little straps instead of the button straps, little tie ones. So yeah, I like it. I think it's a good deal. Plus it's got all the components, the hat, the dress, and the panties all in one. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on our next project. Bye-bye.